All right. So I think we should just start right now. I understand that a lot of people are still in their business case sections, so they're not out yet. They haven't completed their business case sessions yet. But as they complete, more people will join us. But I think we could start as we should not keep our guests waiting. So if I could ask Francis to open up your camera and your mic. So
Hi.
uh, yeah, could you say hi to everyone, Francis?
Hi, everyone. I'm not sure where you are. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So I'm Francis Liu, Vice President of VOYAH. I'm so glad to meet you here online. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Francis. So and welcome you all to the this is the fourth workshop of this year's IEO. And once again, I'm Ethan, and I will be helping to host today's workshop. And so we're very honored and glad to have Francis with us today. And Francis is the VP Marketing of one of China's newest and most prosperous new energy vehicle company called VOYAH. In Chinese is 蓝图. And so they're a very they're a relatively newer player in this market, but definitely a very strong one, and has been developing very fast. And Francis is sort of an industry legend in China in the new energy automobile industry, and has been with a lot of experience working in General Motors and also working in Audi previously. So we are very delighted to have him. And so we hope that you could be very inspired by today's workshop and to broaden your horizon. And also, we very once again we encourage you to give us a lot of questions. So please do not hesitate to raise those questions. You could always private chat me in the chat box, and I will ask on behalf of you once we enter the Q&A section. All right. As I see that more people are joining us, so without further ado, so let's welcome Francis.
Okay, thank you. Let me share my screen.
Yeah.
All right. So can you see my screen now? Can you see my screen?
Yes, we see it perfect.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Francis Liu. My Chinese name actually Liu Zhanshu. It's a little bit difficult to pronounce, so you can just call me Francis. I came from VOYAH, the Chinese name Nantu. So I'm so glad I'm so glad to have a chance to share with you some ideas about China and the China EV market. So today, actually, I want to share with you two parts. One, the first part is to introduce a little bit about the China EV market, and the second part is about VOYAH. So after I finish that, I'm more than happy to answer questions. So before I start, I want to share you a story. Oh, by the way, my friends also tell the jokes. My age is a little bit younger than my face is a little bit younger than my age. So believe it or not, actually, I'm almost 40 years old. So I'm much older than you. But I enjoy the time when I was in the high school. So that's one of the best time in my life. So I lived in the United States for around 3 years. So the first day when I arrived in Michigan, so my friend invited me to a Chinese restaurant, and he told me, "Hey Francis, do you know that the most famous dishes in United States called General Tso's chicken?" I'm not sure whether you have chance to eat this dish or this General Tso's chicken. I'm very surprised to hear that, to be honest, because you know what? General Tso is a real general in China history, and even in China, we don't really talk too much about him. But for me, I was very familiar with him because so here is a general talk because he is very famous in my hometown. I came from Hunan province in the central South China, and I'm very surprised that this dish is so famous in the United States. But I said I have to be very honest to you. In my hometown, we never eat this dish, and we we never heard about that. So that's a very funny thing I want to share with you. The reason I want to share it because what the real China and the perceived China is a little bit different based on my experience. So today I'm trying my best to share what's going on in the EV market. Okay, so a little bit self-introduction. As I mentioned, I came from Hunan province in the central south of China. And actually, I lived in many different cities. So I finished my university in Beijing, the capital of China, and then I worked in Changchun, Shanghai, Hangzhou, and now I'm in Wuhan. And I lived in Michigan for 3 years and have finished a program in Boston. And when I was in Audi, I was always traveling to Germany, in Ingolstadt, a small city. I'm not sure whether you heard about that, in the north of Munich. Here is a more, as the host mentioned, here's a little bit more about my background. So I worked in Audi and then General Motors, and then I moved to VOYAH. So VOYAH is a local brand. I studied into 3 different universities, China Youth University of Political Science and Tsinghua University, and finished a PhD program in HBS. So then I want to talk about the EV market. And well, before I talk about the EV market, I want to give you a little bit of introduction about the history of China automobile industry. So in 1958, before 1958, there's no car, no local brand in China. So the first ever China-made vehicle is produced in 1958 in Changchun, which I worked there for more than 9 years, almost 10 years. So, and the name of this vehicle is Red Flag. The Chinese name is Hongxi. So at that time, actually, there's no Chinese vehicle on the road. So even till to 1990s, when I was, I think when I was 7 years old, there are just 500,000 cars on the road in China. And till to 2000, there's only 1 million vehicles on the road, 1 million cars, new cars on the road every year. So for most, maybe for some countries, 1 million is not a small number, it's a big number. But do you know what's the population size in China? It's more than 1 billion. So it is around 1.2 billion I believe it's 1.2 or 1.3 billion population in 2000 in China. So which means 1 million vehicle new car sales number is quite small in 2000. But things starting to change from 2000. So I want to share with you numbers. So if you look at this chart, you can see from 1978 to 2000, China GDP doesn't change too much. It's kind of stable. But from 2000, you can see the economy increased significantly year over year. So I want to give another number. In 2009, the new car sales number reached as high as 13, I think it's 13 million. So what this number means, because I remember this number very clearly. That's the first ever time China new car sales number surpass your United States. And this China becomes the #1 car market or mobile market in the world. Then I want to give you the recent numbers. So from 2017, I think China reached the highest number of new car sales. It's around 23 million per year. So you can see from 2017 to 2020, the new car sales number actually dropped a little bit year over year. And 2021 recovered a little bit, but in general, the total market is kind of stable or even dropped. So, but if you look at the EV market, it's completely a different story. You can see in 2017, the sales number of EV is lower than 500,000. But you can see the increasing rate is 2-digit numbers year over year, except 2019 because of the COVID-19. But except 2019, you can see the increase rate is significant, especially in 2021. It increased 167%. So this is a huge number. Then let's take a look at the penetration. So this is the whole penetration number month over month in 2021. So you can see in January, it's just 5%, but to December, it's reached as high as 80%. So today is 2022, July, the penetration number is reached already almost 25%. So this is a big change. So if we compare the total market, EV market, it's amazing trend. So in case you don't know the benchmark, so I want to benchmark the Chinese market and the United States market. So the new car sales number in 2021 in China is 20 million, which in the United States is 50 million. And if you look at the EV market, China is roughly 2.4 million in 2021, which is the penetration is 11%. And the US is roughly 0.6 million and the penetration is 4%. So you can see the big difference. And you may ask who is the player in the market. So here is the top 10. So you can see BYD, BYD is #1 in the market, and Tesla ranked #3, VW ranked Tesla ranked #2, VW ranked at #3. Then the rest of the players are all local players. So you can see VOYAH is in the last two, but I wanted to explain a little bit more because our brand is pretty young. We started to sell since last September, so which means we only sell 2 months in last year. So that's, and then we ranked roughly #11. So that's the top player in the market. So this is a very quick introduction of the EV market in China, and then I want to spend a little bit of time to introduce VOYAH. So just give you a sense how the players looks like in China and what is their products features. So VOYAH, the name is from the English voyage. So, you know, voyage is kind of a trip. It explores something unknown, something new, something different. So our slogan is freedom to explore. And I want to introduce a little bit about our logo because it's very Chinese culture based. And if you look at the logo, it's like a bird. And that's true. When we designed the logo, it's from the ancient book, which name is Xiao Yao Yong. It's roughly more than 3,000 years ago. And in the book, there's a story about a legend bird, which is a kunpeng. So in China, it's a kunpeng Zhanshi, which is the legend bird opens the wine. So you can look at the face of VOYAH. It's just a bird. So that's actually from the ancient book. The reason I want to share with this part is our brand and our products. When we design the brand, design the products, there are many of the inspiration actually from the Asian China story or Chinese culture. So we are very deep link with the local cultures. So we have two products in the market. So one is SUV, another one is MPV. So the first MPV, we name it as free. So I just list a little bit of features about the vehicle. So the acceleration from 0 to 100 kilometers, it's just 4 seconds. And the torque can reach as high as more than 1,000. So I'm not sure how you're familiar with the vehicle performance. So if compare the S vehicles, internal combustion engine vehicles, we are almost twice performance than them. And in China, most of the vehicles, it's not just a EV, actually it's a smart vehicles. So the standard features is level 2 plus autonomous driving capability and natural voice control. And you can just talk to the vehicle. For example, open the window, turn on the radio. I want to listen to the music, that's no problem. And one very cool feature of our vehicle is the smart sunroof. So you can just talk to the vehicle. So I want to see the star. I want, can you just turn off the sunroof, and the color can change within roughly 5 seconds. So that's a really cool feature. The second product of our vehicle is a MPV. We named it as Dream. We just start to sell from this month, and it's pretty hot in the market. This MPV is, I think, it's the largest MPV in the market. The length, total length is 5.3 meters, and the wide is 2 meters. So I think this probably be the safest and the most intelligent MPV in the market. I have a short video to show you, so you can see the capability of the pilot parking. I know there are many vehicles in the market can do that, but our capability, no matter in the day, in the night, no matter there is a line or it's just a space or it's a very tight space, the vehicle can park by himself. So let me just show you. Yeah. So the vehicle can park by himself, and when he finishes the parking, and he will turn off the engine and close the window automatically. So it's pretty cool. And the last part, just information share. Actually, we are not just sell in China. We're starting to sell in Norway from June, from 2 months ago. So Yeah, this is our first showroom in Norway. And we also invited a very famous singer as our brand ambassador in that country. I'm not sure whether you know her. If you never know her before, you probably know the movie. I forgot the English name. It's 冰雪奇缘. It's okay. Anyway, so that's all my introduction. It's very quick. Introduce the give a brief introduction about EV market in China and a little bit introduction of VOYAH brand. So I'm more than happy to answer questions. So if you have any questions about China and the EV market, just ask. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. Oh, I don't, sorry, 1 second. Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Liu. Thank you, Francis, for that very informative introduction about the Chinese EV market and the Chinese and VOYAH in general. So I guess we'll take some questions from the audience right now. So just give me 1 moment as I open that up. Well, so we have our first question from our contestant from Malaysia. And it says, what do you predict the EV market from changing after the pandemic?
So actually, the pandemic not impact the EV market too much, but it do impact the total market, as I showed the number in the previous pages. So in 2019, the total market dropped and the EV market also dropped because the whole economy impacted by the coronavirus. But right after that, the EV market recovered very fast. So even till today, the EV market is still very hot, and more and more people starting to buy EVs and start to buy ICE vehicles. So honest to say, it's not too much impact the sales, but because coronavirus do impact the product chain, so and that makes us delay the delivery because our orders is very high, but our delivery capacity dropped a lot because of the impact of the coronavirus. Yeah.
Great, thank you. And the next question from Singapore. Who is, in your opinion, I guess, who is going to be the top 3 motor companies in 10 years? I don't know if that's an easy question to answer.
That's a very good question. I don't want to give you a direct answer, but I want to give you the trend. So there are different type of players in China or in the world. One is traditional OEMs, just like Volkswagen, General Motors, that's traditional OEMs. The second kind of player is startups. For example, Tesla, NIO, and Xiaopeng. So that's the second part. The third type of players, they are not starting to sell vehicles now, but I believe within 5 years or 3 years, they will start to do that. Huawei, Xiaomi, Apple, the phone players will enter the EV market. The last but not the least players is just like us. Our mother group is Dongfeng Group. It's a big OEM group, but we are as a new brand in the market and run independent from the mother group. So that's 4 different players in the market. So who will be top 3? I don't know. It's really it really depends how we play the game in the market. So let's see. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's also a very difficult question to answer as well. And the next question is actually from our team in China. In Francis' opinion, what is some of the features and the strength and weakness of new energy motors for different countries? So, for example, what would be the strength and weakness for new energy motor companies in China, and what would it be probably in the US or Europe?
That's actually very based on which country. So, for example, in the North Europe, in Norway, Sweden, I believe the EV market increased significantly, even faster than China. So, because no matter the customer, they accept the EV very quickly, and also the government, they want actually they want their people to buy more EVs. So, and that these countries, I think, is kind of similar as China. But for many of the countries, they first the customer are not very clearly about the EV features. They are even a little bit worried about the safety of the EV. And the government or the industry not encourage more companies or more capitals into the EV market. So that's where makes the increasing rate a little bit slower. So but in general, I believe no matter China, United States, or Europe, I think the trend should be similar. I think EV increase trend and penetration will be faster and faster year over year. So my personal guess that within 5 years, that China or even other Europe countries, the EV penetration were more than 50%. Half of the vehicles should be EV.
Yeah, and actually, Francis, so just hearing your answer to that question, I personally, if I may, I have a question, just follow up after your answer. So, because you did talk about some of the obstacles that the EV vehicles industry are facing in different countries. So, what do you think is the biggest obstacle or challenge that stands in the way in this industry at this moment?
I think there are a couple of challenges or obstacles of the EV development in China or in other countries. The number one, I think, is the infrastructure, because the charging infrastructure will impact the increase. That's number one. Number two is the cost of EV materials, especially the battery. So if the cost can drop 30% or even 50%, I believe the EV penetration will increase even higher. That's number two. I think the number three is a safety issue. The safety issue is not just the battery issue. It's also about the autonomous driving, the new AI technology. Because there are a lot of accidents linked to the technologies. So if we can drop the incidents or accidents rate, I think that can improve the confidence of the customer to buy an EV. I think that's, in my point of view, that's possible.
Yeah, thank you. And we have a couple more questions actually. So I think people are actually quite interested in this. So the next question is, how do you think your parent company's input cost for new energy vehicle is not as high as Tesla? I'm not sure if that's true. And I'm not sure if you could answer that question actually. And the question goes, are you concerned about the pressure of international competition on China's new energy vehicle market?
First, for the cost point of view, I think that's an industry problem, because I believe all the players cost actually more or less in a similar level. I believe this is an industry issue. That's number one. Number two, for the international players, I personally I welcome any brand can sell in China, because I believe the more players, and we can push the whole industry forward. That's number one. Number two, especially for Tesla, I think Tesla, even today, I still think Tesla is a game changer. So because of Tesla, I think Tesla pushed the whole China industry developed faster than before. So I think I'm looking at it as a very positive thing, not a challenge. Yeah.
Thank you. And I think that that's probably speak the mind of many of our new energy vehicle players in the market. I think personally, I also believe that the more market there is, the more player there is in the market, the more prosperous the market
Yes.
will become. Yes. And I have a couple more questions about yourself, actually.
Sure.
So the first question is, why did you choose this industry, and what ultimately led you to VOYAH?
Oh, sorry, can you say that again?
Yeah. So the question is, what made you choose this industry, and what ultimately led you to VOYAH, so the company you're working with?
Thank you. That's a good question. For the industry, so if you remember the numbers I showed you in the previous page, so you can see the trend. So in 2019, when I back to China, my personal judge is my personal focus that the industry started to change, and it's how to say unchangeable. It is what it is. So for me, I think I have to choose to change the line, because I'm played in the traditional OEM for more than 15 years. So I think it start to change. So I want to choose some brand. They run the business in a completely different way, and it's almost starting from zero. Because I personally work in the industry for over 15 years, and I have lots of thoughts and I have ideas. I think I, I would love to have some opportunities to practice my ideas. So that's number one. So specifically, why VOYAH? So there are a couple of reasons. I'm not sure whether you are familiar with the Chinese automobile industry. So there are big two players, top two groups in China. The 中国一汽, the Chinese first automobile group, and the second China automobile group, which names Dongfeng. So VOYAH is a sub-brand of Dongfeng. And in the very beginning, I mentioned that Red Flag is the first first Chinese-made vehicle. And this is also the first China high-end brand in the S market. And my dream to VOYAH is VOYAH would be the second high-end local brand. And actually we are. Our average transaction price is higher than 300,000. So it's not cheap. We actually price is almost similar as Audi, Mercedes, and BMW. And my dream is want to push VOYAH as a number one EV premium brand in Chinese market, and we can compete with the global players in the near future. Actually, we are doing that now. So that's why EV and why VOYAH.
Well, and I think one of our contestants, so her name is Rebecca. So Rebecca has a follow-up question to the answer you just gave. So she wants to know what is a key competency required in your position?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm working as a marketing vice president in VOYAH, so I actually responsible for two big departments. So one is marketing, the second is we call it customer operation. So number one, you have to be very familiar with the products, the technologies, and number two, you have to understand the customers, and number three, you have to be one thing you have to be rational, and also you have to be emotional, because you have to define the price very rationally, but you need to communicate your brand very emotionally. So I think that's top three.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you. And I think we have one last question, if no one else has raised any questions. And this is from our friend from Singapore again. But this, I'm not sure again whether if this is an easy question to answer. But he's wondering on your opinion about Tesla. Will Tesla be one day? Do you think it's possible for Tesla to take over the market? Or how do you see Tesla's market competition as, from a global perspective, it does hold a much bigger scale than a much bigger share of the market than many other producers, manufacturers.
Okay, thanks for the question. My direct answer is no. Tesla market share will not bigger than 70% in globally. And why? I think Tesla benchmark is not a premium brand. Tesla's benchmark is Ford. You know, the Ford, it's Ford. It's the United States top 3 automobile company. So if we go back to looking back to history, when Ford entered the game, their development history is very similar as Tesla today. So because they are, how to say, they're massive, they are the first company massive production cheap vehicles, which is not cheap, actually cheaper than other brands. So Ford contribution to the industry is makes everyone can drive a vehicle. Today, I think Tesla is doing the similar thing compared to Ford more than decades ago. So Tesla makes people to can drive a EV vehicle. I think that's their mission. But if you look at the problem from this view, that's more than one brand can do that. So there are many brands in the market can make people to buy an EV. So I don't believe that just one players and market share were bigger than 70%. And this trend already changed in China. So China, you can see the local players' market share increased year over year, month over month. And I believe even for Volkswagen, GM, they also launched a new electric vehicles, and I think the performance and the design is also awesome. And just to give them a little time, and I think the traditional OEM will catch up very quickly. That's why we still need to work very hard. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Francis, for answering all those questions, and thank you for all the participants who have interacted with Francis so actively. So I think that was a very, very informative and a very, and then a very nice conversation to get to know someone from inside the industry. It was very knowledgeable for all of us. So I guess to finish this off, if you could give, because Francis, as you probably are aware, that all of the contestants here today are the top of the pyramid in their own country. They represent the very best of their country's economic students. And so they will be our future economics and probably business leaders one day. And if you could give one suggestion for them, what would that be?
So, maybe if you look at me today, you maybe say this guy looks young and he's working in a very good position. But actually, if I'm looking back to my whole career life and study life, actually I experienced up and down. So what I want to share with you, if one word I want to share with you is, no matter how successful today and no matter how depressed today, actually it doesn't matter. It's time will change everything. And there are one word which inspired me for a very, very long time. I want to share with you today. It's work hard, be kind, and amazing things will happen.
Well, thank you very much, Francis. That's very well said. And thank you for everyone for participating in today's workshop. So I guess we'll finish off here. But thank you again, Francis, for your precious time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye. Bye.